Another half hour of Hatteberg's People is ready to roll.
And here's what's coming up.
We've really gotten down several times. It just seems like there's no way out of a situation.
The Allenbaugh family was down, but certainly not out. They displayed amazing strength and courage in the face of incredibly difficult circumstances. See how their story has something to teach all of us. Also, we'll have this.
My oldest son says, "Mother, you can't save the world, but if you don't try, then you might as well quit, hadn't you?"
Louise Unrein gave it her best shot by caring for injured and orphan animals. You'll see how this mission of mercy was also a labor of love. Plus,
I feel so happy, knowing that I'm a person that can be there. Somebody they can look forward to meeting or seeing again.
From her work with military veterans to her native heritage, Tashina Marvin is as American as anyone can be. See how her cultural background along with life's challenges compelled her to care for America's heroes. Hi everybody, I'm Larry Hatteberg.
I'm Susan Peters. Those are just a few of Larry's classics that are queued up and ready to roll for this edition of Hatteberg's People.
These stories are like old friends. Their lives radiate from the screen like prophets of the past. They were teachers, but not in a classroom. Instead, they taught about life to those around them who cared to listen, and I was their student.
In the face of difficulty, we often hear, "At least you have your health." But what if you don't have that either?
That's a problem, and when it rains, it pours for a lot of people. But the Allenbaugh family of rural Burton faced a hurricane of hardship, and they faced it with courage.
That's one thing you learn in life right fast. There's a lot of things you can't control, no matter how hard you try, so you just have to learn to deal with it.
This is a family I want you to meet, the Allenbaughs of rural Burton. All three of the Allenbaugh children have muscular dystrophy. 13-year-old Dawn, 11-year-old Stacy, and 7-year-old Paul Jacob all have juvenile spinal muscular atrophy. Their father, Mike Allenbaugh, was diagnosed 2 years ago with lupus, a disease that is now affecting some internal organs and makes him allergic to sunlight. Their financial problems just keep getting worse. They are now making double house payments just to keep their home. Short on luck, but long on love, the Allenbaughs face these adversities with a dose of reality and uncommon courage.
Whenever we've needed to reach inside ourselves or reach to each other for help, any kind of help, moral help, emotional help, physical help, it's always been there. And just hope and pray that it stays that way.
We don't always have high points in our life, which right now is definitely not a high point, but you just have to try to overlook that and go on.
You get up in the mornings and you say, well, you got another day ahead of you. If you can't face that day, you say, well, I've got X amount of hours to go till dinner time. You work at it. If you can't take it day by day, you take it a half a day at a time. If you get to the point where you can't take it a half a day at a time, then you take it an hour at a time. You just sit down and you just keep constantly working at it. You just keep plugging away. That's the only thing you can do.
The children receive some money from Social Security, the MD Association, and a Handicapped Children's Fund. But the money doesn't match the bills, and it's families like the Allenbaughs that fall through society's safety nets. Because Mike can hold a part-time job, he isn't eligible for most government aid programs, despite the condition of the children.
I don't believe in anything's too difficult or anything's too hard. And you can get really down in the dumps. I know we've really gotten down several times. It just seems like there's no way out of a situation, just no stinking possible way out of it. And so far it's worked out. It's been some mighty close shaves, but it's worked out.
The kids may not be able to walk. Mike can't get out in the sunlight like he used to, but you can't turn and run from that situation. You've got to face it. You can't be scared of it. It's just like when you were a little kid being scared of the dark. You thought there was a big boogeyman hiding in the corner. Well, you can't believe in boogeymans. You just got to take hold of the situation and deal with it.
The Allenbaugh are giving the rest of us a gift, the gift of courage through adversity. By concentrating on the strong bond of a family love, they're holding it together where lesser mortals might fail. With the Allenbaugh family, this is Larry Hatteberg.
Now that was 1985, and we're not sure what has become of the Allenbaugh family in the years that follow. Now, the children would no longer be alive. Maximum life expectancy for their form of muscular dystrophy is in the early 20s. They were very strong people. Imagine having 3 children with muscular dystrophy and facing that, and they did it every day. They were great parents, did everything they could for the children.
Unimaginable.
But it's life, you know, and they took it in stride. They were so brave. And the kids were great.
And that's what we really love about Hatteberg's people is you find the stories not only happy, woo, 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 but you also find the inspirational stories of what is real life, you know?
I learned from every one of those people.
I know you
did. The Allenbaughs were great teachers.
And now we can all learn from them.
Great.
A lot of people say they love animals, but what if those animals aren't exactly the cute and cuddly type?
In northeast Kansas, there was a woman named Louise Unrein who cared mostly for the injured and neglected creatures of all types, and she didn't discriminate. If there was an animal that needed help, Louise was eager and willing.
For most of us, the closest we come to having any kind of a wild animal is a kitten or maybe a dog. And you know, we try to take care of animals like these because they're our pets. Well, wild animals need someone on their side, and that someone is a woman who lives in Mayetta, Kansas.
A steamy afternoon in northeast Kansas. Hot, muggy, a real lazy day. Lazy except for Louise Unrein, one of the human members on this 80-acre farm near Mayetta.
Come on, Sam.
Louise is a combination nurse and social worker. Her clients are animals. She is licensed by both the Department of Interior and the Kansas Forestry, Fish and Game Commission. Her mission? To care for injured and orphaned animals. Orphans like the mischievous Sammy the bobcat. Sammy learned a lesson today, the hard way. You don't mess with a domestic tabby.
My husband's very kind, but he says I'm a real do-gooder. He said if I mind my own business. But I think animals are my business.
Animals she's got. Geese, pigs, mustangs, raccoons, donkeys, hawks, coyotes, cats, dogs, and not to forget, Sammy, the bobcat. That old Sammy, always a kidder.
My oldest son says, Mother, you can't save the world, but if you don't try, then you might as well quit, hadn't you? You know, you got to keep trying. He's pretty tolerant, isn't he? I know a lot of people won't agree with what I say, but I've put a lot of thought into this, and I think there are worse things for animals than death. But the alternatives, like dumping, starving to death, if people would see some of the things, the birds, even wildlife that I get to take care of, or dogs and cats, that the condition that they come in, death is good.
Animals like Sammy are lucky, but Louise says the responsibility for their care belongs to all of us.
Children and animals, you know, are at the mercy of adults. If we don't have some empathy for them, I think we're going to lose the children and all the animals.
Even though she doesn't get paid for the care or the food, Louise will continue her work with animals. For her, animals like Sammy are not pets. They are her guests.
Oh, you want down.
And who knows, maybe through her work, she can change the world.
Okay.
It's worth a try. I'm Larry Hatteberg.
Oh, he really is. He's a charmer.
Remembered for service to all of God's creatures, Louise passed away in 2006 at age 79. And I love the people who take care of animals because it's amazing how many people don't.
I know.
You know, and then you have these people are gifts to the animal kingdom.
And they just step up and do it without any
They make
accolades.
They make such a huge difference to the animals and to the rest of it.
She'll always be remembered now.
Exactly.
This next story is about a young woman named Tashina Marvin. She was 19, from Mulvane, and was using her Native American heritage to honor veterans. Take a look.
They enjoy it when I come. It makes me feel so proud I can do that.
At Wichita's VA hospital, Tashina Marvin, part of the Osage tribe, wears her native dress that honors veterans.
If I could do this every day, I'd get well tomorrow.
For a year, she was an intertribal warrior society princess. She traveled frequently representing Native American veterans and war mothers. But it's here, with veterans like Gary Darlington, where she excels.
And when I got out of that, well, I had a Jeep.
They're so neat, they're so, unique. Which war did you serve in?
It was just the start of the Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Marine Corps made me a man. I'm proud that I was a Marine.
It's respect and honor for them. This is what I do. I make it a part of my life to do this.
It was her grandfather who began this journey of listening.
My grandfather was in World War II and a veteran, and he had a Purple Heart.
Captivated by the stories, the warrior dress became an instant talking point with the veterans.
They love this dress because it represents, there's always, somebody in the Marines or somebody in the Army, and they know that's who they fought for.
At home, the warmth she brings into a room goes into the scrapbooks of her activities.
Everybody's culture should be the most important because that's the most precious thing you have.
But her life has not been perfect. A brain injury in the 2nd grade gave her challenges not readily apparent today.
So it affected me tremendously, actually. I couldn't remember when I was littler. I couldn't remember where I've been yesterday. But now I've got to the point that I can actually remember maybe a month ago.
Recovered and always moving forward, she concentrates on her Osage heritage. Indian fry bread, also part of her daily life, is prepared for a school project.
It's very important because you got to keep your tradition alive.
Always on the go, her goal is to let those who have made great sacrifices know that someone cares.
She's just a pleasure. It makes me forget I'm an old man.
You're not old, you're still young.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a very pleasant thought, But I've accepted age. I just wished I could go back and do it again. It was so much fun.
You too. I feel so happy, knowing that I'm a person that can be there. Somebody they can look forward to meeting or seeing again.
We'll see you later,
Okay,
babe.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
I miss you already.
I miss you too. And I'll be here.
Okay.
And hopefully I have some snacks.
She is a very special person. You talk about Larry Hatteberg's people. She is a Larry Hatteberg's people.
All right, I'll see you later. Bye.
Tashina is now married with 2 daughters. She is now busy serving as chair of Wichita's chapter of the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Woman Organization. So she's still providing an immense amount of service to our community.
Yeah, once again, she's one of these people who works so hard in the community to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I love profiling people like that.
And she still
Congratulations,
is.
Tashina. Yeah.
Well, nowadays, when something breaks, we just throw it away. But earlier generations, for example, those who lived through the Great Depression, had a completely different attitude.
Yeah, and if nothing else, simply throwing things away is wasteful, and it takes up landfill space. But Charlie Ice of Abilene had an even better reason for saving and fixing things. This is from 1986.
This was all going to go to the landfill. We throw it away, covered up, nobody ever get any use out of it. Well, it made me feel kind of bad to think that there were kids who could use this stuff. And I just thought if I could be of any use of fixing it, if I was able to do any of the fixing of it and get it fixed, I would give it away to them at Christmas time.
The real work is done in Charlie's basement. It's here where the broken toys are mended.
Now that's going to take a little fixing to get an axle for that one. But I think I can work it, so I think I can fix that.
In another corner of Charlie's crowded basement are more repaired toys rescued from stores who had doomed them to be dumped.
Anywhere around 1,500 toys that I went through the process of fixing to be given away. Now this machine had a loose wire, so all I had to do was resolder it.
Now, after years of collecting toys from stores, Charlie says he gets good cooperation from merchants. But when he first began, there were problems.
It wasn't exactly the stores, it was the suppliers who didn't want to give. They thought they ought to just really destroy the thing, but after they were told what they would be done and guaranteed that that's what would be done with them, they were glad to cooperate.
Charlie believes there are 2 lessons to be learned from his toy collecting for underprivileged children. First, stores should be encouraged to give toys to those who can repair them instead of throwing them away. And second, consumers should try to fix broken toys themselves rather than taking them back to the store for a refund. Take, for instance, this ball glove. The only reason the customer returned it was due to a broken leather string.
This would have went to the landfill if it hadn't been for me. Well, I think any old person who doesn't know what to do with themselves, this is a great hobby. And the results from this is that you're making children happy, and I think it's a good feeling. I think any old person should do something besides just sit around and watch TV.
In Abilene, Larry Hatteberg, Cake News.
Now, he gave new life to a lot of things that you and I would have just thrown away. And he enjoyed doing it, and again, he made a difference.
He did. He made a difference. I love getting introduced to these people.
Oh, they're fun people.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of us need the bright lights of the big city and nonstop excitement to be content, but not Herbert Rotes.
Herb was satisfied with the simplest of things, like doing the yard work at his Conway Springs church.
I'd rather mow grass and work on trees and shrubbery than stay at home and watch TV. I'd rather. There's something to it. Yeah, I like to work here.
Folks around here say Herb Rotes and nature speak the same language. At home, he talks, and nature listens.
And these here is kind of nice, these silver mounds. They come back every year. I've been trying to get most of my stuff perennial, that, you know, what comes back every year. One of them little bunches about that big around costs $5. And they come back and they get bigger after you finally got it. I just bought them this spring. The one kind of lived and the other one didn't. Well, there is little work even in a little place like this, and they got a pretty nice backyard. There's nothing extra back there, but the only thing I got that's nice, I think, is here is my grotto. I'm proud of them grottos. That Blessed Virgin statue over there, that's really painted pretty. My daughter painted it back in there. And when she got done, I kidded her. I said, Blessed Virgin looks younger than she did 40 years ago. I bought that about 40 years ago. Got a couple of fruit trees. See, there's a rabbit right over there. You ought to take a picture of him. I can get within several feet of it. Oh, look how tame that rabbit is. Well, I work till noon on a general for other people, and then afternoon I take me about an hour and a half nap, and then I start trying to test the heat, and then I get out here, and once I'll be doing something. Yeah, well, see, I ain't got much garden, but I got show you the tomatoes there. People can't raise tomatoes this year, but I want to show you these. Here's the tomatoes. That's the way I try to raise them, but it got too hot then yet, but I still got a few little ones even.
For years, Herb has taken care of the grounds at St. Joseph Catholic Church.
I got the idea, and it just got me closer to the church. See, so many people my age, they hurt here and they hurt there and they hurt all over. I got hurts too, but when I get my hat on in the morning and get out there about 5 minutes after I get to work, and I forget that. Not scared, nobody wants to die, but I mean, when I was a little boy already, my mom always said you ought to say a little prayer every day to meet whatever comes in life. And I remembered it every night. And I thank God for my health.
But death is for later. Now there is life in Herb's gardens.
It's a poor man's place. I just stay at it, get up early and go.
Herb's presence is still felt at the church, even though he passed away in 1999. He's buried right there in that cemetery that he used to take care of. And when I did the story with him, I'd have the camera on my shoulder and we'd be going down and he'd be trimming a tree or trimming bushes. And he was a happy guy. And he thoroughly enjoyed what he was doing, and he'd look at the church and he'd know he was making a difference.
It's so nice that he's laid to rest there. It's almost like he's still watching over the cemetery.
I love that.
I do too. Well, we've all heard it many times that a little hard work never hurt anybody.
Well, Glenn and Gladys Morgan of Hackney lived that philosophy, and maybe it's something us younger folks should take to heart.
Yes, there's another one in there. I saw it a while ago. Here it is. Yeah. Yes. We don't have much room here, but we try to raise a few tomatoes and a few peppers.
That's Gladys Morgan, and this is her husband, Glenn.
I don't know what I'd do without him.
Glenn is 90. Gladys is, well, not as old as Glenn. Their small backyard boasts flowers, insects, and a couple of people who are just plain folks.
We're just ordinary old farmers.
Older farmers maybe, ordinary, no. How many 90-year-olds do you know who still mow yards?
He can stand this heat better than anyone I know, better than I can.
Glenn likes work. Never in his life has he shied away from it. He always mows his own yard, and he has 2 other customers to boot.
Well, it's all in a day's work. That's all I know.
If you first sit down in that rocking chair, you better watch out. It's got you.
I've never found none yet they couldn't do.
I think sometimes that he better watch it, but he seems to get along pretty good in this heat.
Trying to get done, get back to my little gal.
He's wondering if she's cooking something, ready to have something to eat.
Are you tired now?
Nah. I'll stay with you all day.
In fact, I didn't think we'd ever see our 50th anniversary because, you know, he was 33 years old and I was 27 when we were married.
So in their backyard full of life, Glenn and Gladys Morgan are too. After 50 years of marriage, they are still in love.
Good for another 10 years.
Well, another 6 anyway. Glenn lived to be 96. Gladys went on to live to 105. So they obviously knew what they were doing. You know, people who live long lives have so much to teach us. All we have to do is stop and listen.
That's something we do not do. I'm going to get on my soapbox a little now.
Okay.
We need to listen to our elderly more. They're the ones with experience. They know what's going on, and we so often push them to the side. But you don't with Hatteberg's people. You bring them to the forefront.
You're so sweet and so kind. All right.
Many of us can remember the days when we'd pull up to the gas station in our Hudson or Studebaker and say, "Fill her up."
Never had a Hudson or a Studebaker. But in most places, that went away many years ago. But in Cunningham, Kansas, at least for a while, that kind of service was available up until just a few years ago. Ken Skripsick wouldn't have it any other way.
You get sometimes a slow afternoon, you get to watch the different trucks that go by and different types of people. You wonder how in the world you get down that highway without getting killed. Yeah, I started when I was 20. I'm almost 85 now, so I've been here a while.
For Kenneth, a while is since the 1940s. He's been with Standard Oil, now Amoco, since he's had this little station.
Long time ago.
He's changed, but not his philosophy.
You gotta take care of the customer, he's first.
Yep, you come in here, and it's always full service.
Sometimes.
Always.
We get our windshield washed, and even my headlights get washed.
Some of these, I don't see how they see where they're going to. Bugs, bugs, bugs.
And a smile every day.
45.
45. Okay.
Kenneth's son Mike also works with him. He's been here since he came back from Vietnam. But there is one face missing.
Me and my wife is real close. We're just like one.
Kenneth's wife, Billie Jean. They were always here together until her death 3 years ago.
I tell you, when you get by yourself, you got to be doing something or you'll go crazy.
Not very exciting washing windows.
It's fun just to come in just because you get to see somebody that you know and say hi and have that personal interaction too.
And I got good-looking customers.
It's the first time that my friend rode with me, she was like, wow, this place is great.
This lady here is sure a nice woman. See this gal here? Here's one of the nicest gals in the whole country.
They just act happy to see you.
It's not work, it's just have somebody to talk to. They're helping me and I'm helping them.
And this is like the only place you get to see a guy like him.
In many ways, work is his therapy, and his therapists are his customers, each and every one.
I think it's nice. At least some of these guys can still keep on doing their job.
Good old Kenny and his son kept the place going for as long as they could. Kenny died in 2007 at age 89. That gas station is now permanently closed. You know, it's just a moment in history. It's now gone, like so many other things. But we remember it on Hatteberg's People.
I know. It's so cool that he believed in the old style gas stations and was going to give it to his community.
And the people in Cunningham loved it.
Well, that's the end of another trip back into Kansas history, the otherwise untold history that most of us would never know about were it not for Larry Hatteberg and Hatteberg's people. And for that, we owe him a debt of gratitude.
I'm just having fun with this.
Thank you,
This
Larry.
is just great.
I know you do have fun.
Well, of course, it's my pleasure. And if you'd like to email us right here at KPTS, it's hattebergspeople@kpts.org. That's our email address. That is it for now. Thanks for watching. We will see you again soon.